Hello, gorgeous souls. How are we today? So, I'm so excited to embark on this new challenge from March, which is 30 days to mindfulness. And the beauty of mindfulness and why I love to teach mindfulness is because I remember the very first time someone even mentioned to me that I was struggling with not being mindful. We were sitting in a restaurant, and this was at the height of when the business, we had 10 different locations and we had hundreds of employees and thousands of clients. And when I tell you, I didn't get a moment to breathe. While I would be using the bathroom, I would have to be texting people, responding to emails. At no point in time was there ever a point to where my phone was not always ringing. It was either ringing or text messaging. And it even got to the point to where I shut off my voicemail, and I would inform people, like, if you call me and I don't answer, text me, because the likelihood of me being able to call you back is going to be slim to none, because so many people were calling me and I was dealing with so much stuff, which is the beauty of operations and the love of what I was doing. And so I remember one day, me and the clinical director, we were traveling and we had stopped to get something to eat. And we were in a small country town, and the only place that we could find something to eat was in a Hardee's. And so we're sitting there, and she takes my phone and is like, "Stop. Can you be mindful and eat your food and just sit here and embrace the moment?" It was the most miserable 15 minutes of my life at that point in time, because I'm like, oh my God, when I get my phone back, do you know how many people are going to be there? Like, I could not be mindful and appreciate what was happening right then and there. I was too concerned about the future. I was too concerned about what I was missing. I was too concerned about everybody else, that I wasn't even sitting there being concerned about what I was putting in my mouth, my health, engaging in the people that were around me. I didn't know how to do that. So after that lunch, in the car, we had a 2-hour trip home, and boy, did she fill me up. I was a therapist too, so I know that this was important, but in my mind, it was so much for me to take care of that I couldn't let people down. I had too much responsibility. People needed me. Okay, but apparently I didn't need myself. So in that process, I listened. And at that point, I made a decision. I'm like, okay, let's be mindful. Let's learn to be mindful. And since then, it's been amazing. Like, if I'm sitting at dinner with my husband or my family or my friends, I try to keep my phone separate because I want to give them my undivided attention. But not only that, I had to learn to be mindful of what I was eating, because sometimes everything's so chaotic, and that's going to be further on in this lesson when we talk about firing the fireman and stop being a fireman and let's instilling smoke detectors, because our life sometimes is so chaotic. All we're doing is running around putting out fires, and we're doing nothing to prevent the fires from happening. And so we're going to talk about that. That's part of this mindfulness. However, today we're going to discuss the importance of what that looks like. And so for the next 30 days, each day I'm going to teach you something to be mindful about. And the reason mindfulness is important is because if we're not mindful of what's going on in our life, if we're not mindful of our feelings and our emotions, if we're not mindful of what we're eating, if we're not mindful of the things that are around us, if we're not mindful of what we're taking in, right? Then it's going to be even more difficult to find the happiness that we truly desire. Most people, including myself, I used to always think like, why don't people pay me attention? Why don't people listen to me? But the entire time I wasn't listening to them because I was too busy being mindful of everything else going on except for what was going on in front of me. And since I've made that distinction, it has been amazing because now I realize that when I invest and be mindful of the situation in front of me, I realize that I'm getting more attention that I need. And it's becoming a win-win for everything. But the most important reason why mindfulness is important is because if you can't identify and take a step back, if you can't be mindful of the things that you see, the things that you hear, the things that you eat, the things that you smell, the things that you hear, if you can't be in touch with the things that are presented in front of you that you can pinpoint and say, then how can you be mindful of what's going on in here? How can you be mindful of who's triggering you and why they trigger you? How can you dig down and know that what you're feeling is an emotion that you need to touch base with? How can you heal your inside if you're not aware of what's going on the outside? And if anyone knows my story, and if you don't, then I will give you a real quick synopsis. My life of growing up in a chaotic, inconsistent lifestyle created that foundation for my entire life. And with that, I was so focused on what I had to do and not paying attention on the outside factors that were swirling around me, landed me in prison. And I had to own that in the regards of I was so busy making sure everybody else was good that I wasn't sitting around watching the people that were around me what they were doing. And I wasn't able to connect what they were doing and how that would impact me, even though I felt like, well, I'm just a manager, I'm not responsible. But at the end of the day, I ended up having to go away. And it was one of the best things that happened to me, no matter how hard it was and how much I had to go through. I needed, you want to talk about getting mindful? Sit in prison for a year. You become real mindful because you ain't got nothing else but to be mindful. But it strengthened me. I was able to listen. I was able to look at all the things and how I got there. I didn't have to commit a crime, and I didn't. But the people around me and the boss and all them were committing crimes. And I wasn't focused on that. I wasn't seeing that because I wasn't observing and being mindful of everything going on. I was too busy putting out the biggest fire. And me having time to pay attention to other people and my surroundings was not a fire at that point until it became a fire. And it happened to be a big fire. But it made me stronger. So now being mindful helps me because now I'm able to sit back and before I can make decisions, I'm like, okay, let's be mindful of this situation. How does this really feel within me? What is my intuition saying about me? Does my intuition say, hey, no, we don't need to do this? Or is my intuition saying, heck yeah, this is it. This is the right thing. Or knowing the difference within you, like, does this feel right? Or does this not feel right? But we don't know those things unless if we take the time to be mindful. So over the next 30 days, we will be addressing this. And I'm excited to be addressing this. This is going to be fun and magical. And I am hoping that this opens up all of your eyes to see things that you never seen that was going on around you, and hearing things that are going on. Like, I remember one of the exercises we do is I just have you sit quiet for a minute and just listen to what's going on around in your environment. I never realized how loud my refrigerator was the first time I did this. I'm like, dang, how did I not hear that all the time? Because I was preoccupied with everything else. I was preoccupied with the future instead of focusing on what was happening right now. So I'm excited to go on this journey with all of you for the next 30 days. And I am so looking forward to it. And I am blessed to be in your presence as we move forward in this journey. And of course, if you have any questions, any concerns, any realizations, any success stories, please feel free to reach out to me and just tell me, like, so I can assist you. Part of my passion and my joy is teaching, educating, nurturing, loving, and providing a safe space. So if you need any of that, please reach out to me. And I look so forward to this journey. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.